Welcome to another episode of The Speaking Citizen. I am your host, Mehru Jafar. Here we seek out creative members of society for you, like artists, writers, poets, and painters. Today's Speaking Citizen is Kanak Rekha Chauhan, founder director, Lucknow Literature Festival at Lucknow Expression Society, that is also celebrating its 10-year affair with books. The Lucknow Literature Festival is a most looked forward to event in a city that has a long tradition of hosting literary activities. Over the years, the Lucknow Literature Festival has played host to an amazing list of literati, the latest being the Booker Prize winning author Gitanjali Shiri. Kanak has been on her toes for over a decade to revitalize literary events in a city where the life of most contemporary citizens is wedded today mostly to politics and to commerce. So, Kanak, my very first question to you is, why do you take the trouble of doing this year after year after year?
Well, first of all, I must thank you for inviting me over for this talk. And secondly, to your question, I think Jaipur Litfest has been a very big inspiration. But prior to that, I always, whenever I got up in the morning and scanned through the newspapers, I would see that Fala Fala writer had come and spent an evening with Lucknow literati, or some celebrity had come and they had a nice evening of art, or literature or culture. And I would wonder, why wasn't I invited? And at times there would be tickets or passes which would be only by invitation, and tickets would be very highly priced. Say about 25 years ago, when I came to this city, one could one had to dish out something like 500 or 1,000 bucks for a program of some very important literature or celebrity like Javed Sahab. तो वो मुश्किल होता था सोचना कि इतने पैसे खर्च करके we spend an hour, dole out that money for an hour of a great vitalizing conversation. So that was one of the primary objects, to make these literary events and programs accessible to the common man. And secondly, as you said, Lucknow has been a city of kavita, goshti, nashast, mushairas. That somehow, after the demise of the, as we say, three pillars of Lucknow literature, Yashpal ji, Amritlal Nagar, and Verma Bhagat Charan Verma ji, there was a certain lull in these activities. So I think to bridge that hiatus, and it was the right time to begin something like that. I was holding bataks at home, musical bataks, literary bataks. So we were a like-minded people, and we thought, why not begin a festival in the city? The time is right. Jaipur is doing very well. It was an inspiration for all the literates in India. We have more than 300 now. When we started, there were about 50, and Lucknow was somewhere around within number 10, as per a TV report. So those are the two reasons why I did. Again, for the youth, because there's so many distractions for the youngsters nowadays. There's internet, there's Netflix, there's so much. So the people are, yeah, they had distanced themselves from the written word. So those are the few objectives that we began with. And now I feel, after a decade, that it is such an important part of Lucknow's cultural and literary space that we cannot just stop it. It is like a responsibility. Soon after the festival, people keep asking me what will be the theme next year, who would you all invite next year. So that keeps us going, the interest of the people, and all those three objectives which we think we have managed to somehow reach out, but we haven't yet attained all of it that we set out to. So it keeps us going.
Ji. So a lot of the festivals, and there are so many literature festivals now, mushrooming in every nook and cranny of the city, of the country, and most of them, when you ask them what motivated them to host a literature festival, most of them say that they are afraid that people are not reading books anymore. Are you also of the same opinion that people have stopped reading books?
I think they're reading a lot, especially during these last 2 years of COVID. But they may not be necessarily reading a traditional book, but they're reading a lot of news, social media, WhatsApp. However, the long winding sentences with a plethora of metaphors and similes, where a writer would say, describe dawn or night with poetic license and verbose ornamentation. Now, all that has reduced to a matter of factly functionality of language, wherein language is just a medium of conversation rather than a mode of expression. So, that part of human development may not be as pronounced as when you read a book, but there is a number of, so the number of existing readers or the habitual reader has remained same or maybe increased, but the internet has also created new readers because the technology has given them the ease to reach out to the written word, you know. So earlier one had to buy a book, but now you can read on the internet or on Kindle. So I think the litfests have been a kind of catalyst in increasing the book readers. I do not agree that they are reading less, because you look at especially the Hindi or the regional languages, and also translations. A lot of regional languages books are being translated. Suppose you wanted to read about Savitri Bai Phule, um, then you had to earlier either read her in English or in Marathi. There was nothing in Hindi. Now, some publishers are translating these regional texts in Hindi also, which is the most spoken language in India now. So I think that is not right. People are reading, they are buying books. Hello, Meru, can you hear me? Hello, Meru, can you hear me? Hello, Meru, can you hear me? I think you are muted. You are muted. You are muted. Calling, calling.
Yeah. So you really believe?
Yeah, yeah, you were muted. Okay, let's go
Yeah,
ahead.
I muted myself because you were sounding a bit faint.
Okay, okay,
हाँ, तो थोड़ा सा अगर आप वॉल्यूम बढ़ा दें.
okay. I think maximum पर ही है.
अच्छा.
मुझे तो
So you really believe that literature festivals do encourage the reading and buying of books, especially amongst the youth.
yeah,
You
definitely.
do believe that?
I do, I do, I do. Because from my experience of last 10 years of organizing the festivals, the readers, the audiences cherry pick their sessions. Suppose one is interested in fiction writing, others interested in history or politics or theater, then they cherry pick their sessions. And if they find their favorite author, say Amish or Javed Akhtar or Shashi Tharoor, they would definitely buy the book, get it signed, because this charm of getting your own copy signed by your favorite author is absolutely irresistible. So people do buy books at the festival. There were some first time readers also who pick up a book for the sheer joy of getting it signed by the author.
But the spoil sports, they have this to say about most literature festivals, that it has uh, also given birth to a new privileged class of people called people and celebrities amongst writers and authors. Do you think that that's a fair complaint?
Yeah, to an extent, yes, one could say at the risk of sounding market-oriented festival organizer. See, where one picks up one's target audiences. So when I'm curating a session, at times I do consider whether we should have a more popular face also in the panel, other than the say other two panelists or so. So I do agree to the statement to an extent, but as an organizer, you need to attract crowds. You need to draw more people and more footfall. So definitely, a popular name is a big attraction. So at times, very few times, what happens is, whereas see at a literist, when somebody is at the stage and talking, not everyone is as erudite a speaker as he or she may be as a writer. So at times people are more liked by the audiences. They are more attractive to the people who are better at speaking. They're better speakers than they're actual writers. So that does happen. And well, we are I must say, with a very sad heart, that we are a celebrity-driven audience, citizens, what have you. जहाँ एक celebrity देखा हम भागे चले जाते हैं, to get a selfie or to get a picture or to get a book signed. That is true, but then it's a small price to pay. You
Hmm.
know, that's
Yeah.
what.
And what is the harm of making celebrities of writers?
Yeah,
Because why should film stars have all the fun?
absolutely, absolutely. That's true. So it's okay. It all goes hand in hand. It's marketing world. You have to take economics along with everything. Actually, economics runs everything, but not to the extent that you have only celebrity writers. So it is like a tadka. It's a booster for the audiences to come. So it's also like a carrot, the proverbial carrot. You dangle a carrot that okay, you have the risk of sounding really bad, you have Amish. So one would come and see Amish, but at the same time, one would also read, say, Naresh Saxena or Geetanjali Shri. She's a celebrity, of course, or many other writers who are not as well known as, say, Amish or say Manoj Muntashir, to name from the film fraternity. But once you are there, that celebrity charm pulls you to the festival, and you also end up listening to a lot of other good things that are happening around. So it's okay. It's my paisa vasool. Even if we can, create one good reader who's a first time reader, then it's our work done.
Exactly. So, while you organize this uh, marathon of an activity, what has been the most frustrating part for you as an organizer? And of course, a follow-up question is the most exhilarating part of being the founder, organizer of a literature festival.
Most frustrating, like you said, at times we have had sessions where we've invited one of the best Hindi writers or Avdi writers, but there are no crowds. That is the most frustrating thing.
Mhm.
So it may be a very academic session, it could be a very popular session. So one has to decide whether we should leave the academics to universities and colleges, and whether we should have only popular sessions where people are drawn to the session no matter who's on stage. That is the call we have to take. But it is
Mhm.
frustrating when you invite a very serious writer and nobody turns up. You just have 10% of the hall with the audiences. coming to the most exhilarating one, well, round the year, people question me, when is the festival happening? When are you going to do it again? And aren't you calling this person or that person? So that expectation, that means somewhere we have done the right thing, that the city is waiting for the festival. That is the biggest achievement for me.
So when you say you were inspired, you went and attended the Jaipur Literature Festival, which is, like kind of mother and father of all Indian literature festivals. Were you inspired, uh, and are you imitating the Jaipur Literature Festival in organizing the Lucknow Literature Festival? Or did you take pointers from Jaipur and you're doing your own thing?
Well, I never went to Jaipur Lit Fest. Still, they invited me as one of the Lit Fest directors. So it was only what I got to read from the newspapers and the internet and heard about Lit Fest in Jaipur. So it was a kind of, something really happy to be invited, something proud to be invited there, not once, not twice, but thrice as the Litmus director, so that I could hobnob and have a session with Litmus directors from all over the world. So, having said that, I think Jaipur Lit Fest is now too big. It's too huge. So, I would rather have a literature festival where people come for the love of the festival, not to be the biggest or the greatest. Because Lucknow शहर है, या तो हम सब प्यार मोहब्बत से ही काम करते हैं, you know. So that is the feeling, that one-to-one, person-to-person feeling that the city has given this festival, which I think Jaipur doesn't have. It is more of a corporate event now. So, but yes, it has inspired us in the sense that we could do something like this in our city also, which has way more to offer to a reader as a literary city. You know,
Mm,
you've had even your Nawab Wajid Ali Shah was writing, and you've had progressive writers movement. All the
yeah,
people who created PWA were from Lucknow, had some connection to Lucknow. We're really proud of that legacy. So I thought Lucknow was one city which should have had the festival before any other city.
exactly.
But yes, as you said, we do take pointers because, um, frankly speaking, I had worked in a corporate system for about 3 years, but I had no know-how of organizing something of this big a magnitude. I was a housewife enjoying my batucks and my book readings. I'm a book club, but
Mm.
never did I think that I would be organizing something as big, as huge, and it's growing by leaps and bounds. So now my problem is, who do we invite? We have invited almost everyone.
Mm.
That is a huge problem. So I think Jaipur, yes, we do take pointers from them, but we are slightly different from them in
Mm.
this matter.
So, like all literature festivals, also the Lucknow Literature Festival has its glamorous aspect, has its celebrity guests. This is a very broad based question I'm going to ask you, which perhaps doesn't even have an answer. But do you think literature festivals contribute in any way to battling the very high rate of illiteracy in Uttar Pradesh?
I think Litfests do not provide basic education in the sense that eradicating illiteracy is not the objective of any Litfest, let alone Lucknow Litfest, you know. But the Litfests definitely do encourage the students and the adults alike to appreciate creative writing and different art forms, because existence of our books as the most important art form, that literature festivals provide that platform where thoughts can be free, where ideas can be debated and questioned. They are a little size of heaven, a space where one can express themselves with all the freedom, where one would like to question, to research, to improve, to change, to evolve. And I think evolution being the most primal of human needs, no evolutionary process can be complete without an evolution of our strongest resource, our brains, to be nurtured with new ideas, books, literature. So, to sustain this evolutionary process, literature festivals are they are the platform, they are the space where people can attend these programs and encounter new ideas
Yeah.
where oh, I mean what good an idea is if it's not broken down to its bare minimum minimal aspects. It is the space, the Litfest are that space uh, that have come to occupy a second, it's kind of a second classroom where a question is appreciated rather than looked down upon. You can question a politician, you can question a theater activist, you can question a writer, you know. So these are the places where an idea can find lifeblood and evolution amongst those questions. Or, um, you know, how a revolutionary principle can be debated upon and examined in minute detail. So we have had rural festival this year, wherein we
Mm.
invite children from rural schools, and we took the festival to the village instead of, asking them to attend the festival in Lucknow. We took it to the village, and we invited their teachers and students, and even some women from the nearby villages
Mm.
to sing their folk songs. उन्होंने सोहर गाए, भजन गाए, विवाह गीत गाए. Those are also the things that our children from the city need to know.
Yeah.
And we also have a library for in a slum where children can read. But literature festivals, I don't think ever have that objective in mind. To eradicate illiteracy per se.
But I noticed that before, months before the your festival is actually held, you advertise for volunteers, young volunteers, and at the festival, I've seen a lot of young people who volunteer, as ushers, as in various capacities. You see them at the Lucknow Literature Festival. Can they not be groomed as ambassadors of eradicating or taking education uh, from the festival to the neighborhood, to the suburb, and maybe to the village? I mean, no festival has done this, but can you imagine this happening?
Yeah, why not? Actually, they are already doing this. They are. I mean, we are just holding it once a year, rural festival, and storytelling in some of the slum areas where we have donated books to the. I wouldn't call it library. It's a bookshelf where we keep books, and some of our volunteers and our team members go and read out the stories. So it can be done at a bigger scale. And just to quote one example, even our volunteers who join us, sometimes they just join out of curiosity or
Mm.
having looked at our previous editions to where they've seen the celebrities and where they've seen the celebrity writers. So I remember one incident. I asked one of the boys to, write fiction on one of the cartons that we were taking to the venue for the festival. And he wrote friction instead of fiction.
I,
He didn't know the difference,
yeah.
But at the end of the festival, he had already met so many writers, about 100 of them. He had attended some sessions. He had done some work as errand boy, but he had absorbed. He had taken
Mm.
back something home. So we need to make that change too, because not everyone has a
Yeah.
literary environment at home. You know, So बहुत से ऐसे लड़के हैं जो अगल बगल के गांव देहात से आते हैं. They come from the satellite towns of Lucknow, and they are staying here as at the PGs or hostels. So they have also joined, and they go back home and they have stories to tell. So I think that too is some kind of contribution of the festival.
Because at the end of the day, even as somebody like myself is thoroughly enjoying the Lucknow Literature Festival, thoughts do come to mind about the relevance of a literature festival like the Lucknow Literature Festival to the majority population of the country. That is, how to reach out to them is another question, I think. But you do wonder what relevance do these wonderful activities have to the life of the majority population, which remains illiterate and so very poor.
Yeah, so as I said, eradicating illiteracy is not one of the
Yeah,
objectives, but there's a big population of people who never knew about progressive writers movement, which they got to know only when they attended the festival. There were people who never knew what is the kissa goi or a dastan goi. So
ji,
in the last edition, we had Rag Darbari as the kissa goi. Many
yeah.
people didn't know about Rag Darbari or Sri Lal Shukla.
Shuklas, yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, so I think that itself is a contribution of the Litfest.
Yes,
Besides that, we also have a lot of folk songs and folk dances which people do not know. Like we had Tharu from the Lakhimpur Kheri area. Then we had Baul music. Then we have Kavalis, of course, are an
mm,
integral part of Lucknow and Awadh. So it's not just illiteracy. There is so much to absorb from the festival,
yeah,
which we take for granted. Like I, for instance, always took it for granted. The people do know about PWA. The people do know about this form of storytelling. But I have met so many people who came and congratulated me that अरे आपके प्रोग्राम में तो हमको PWA के बारे में मालूम पड़ा, हमें रशीद जहाँ के बारे में मालूम पड़ा, you know, that kind of thing. So a lot of people knew that Nadira Babbar is, they knew Nadira Babbar. They didn't know
mm,
about her father or mother's contribution to the politics of the country, to the literature of the country. So that is also kind of education which is required, and I guess as I see, I guess that is relevance enough for us to
of course.
sustain the festival and to continue with it.
I think storytelling, because the majority of citizens of the state are not familiar with the written script or written word. So, education and making literature part of their life through oral rendition of stories, it seems like, a more viable activity to spread literature, to bring literature into the life of people who cannot read and write. So storytelling seems, developing the art of oral literature, oral um, uh, debates
Yes,
and
yes.
exchange of ideas seems,
One-to-one human interaction is what makes it more attractive. For
yeah,
instance, we had Shovna Narayan
yeah,
dance to Ismat Chuktai's Gungat. So
oh
there
yeah,
were people who enjoyed the performance, went back home, and read Gungat.
yes,
That is the success of the festival.
yeah,
So
yes,
it's not
exactly,
always, unless you are a born reader or you have been
yeah,
you are a cultivated reader. Sometimes people need something more, a third dimension to that the written word, to go back to reading or to discover the joy of reading. So that is where a Litfest comes in. It aids a reader to go for
yeah.
the written word.
No, I'm still thinking of the relevance of literature festivals to people who are not familiar with writing and reading, you know.
Yes.
But this has been such a enlightening, such a wonderful chat. The last question I have for you, Kanak, is say something to young people who might be listening to you about the merits of reading and writing.
Well, unless you read, you cannot write. I totally believe in it. There are so many young writers who do have the talent to write, but they would write maybe a poem or a haiku or maybe an article, and then, something happens and there's a writer's block. So
Yeah.
they need to read a lot. Unless they read, they cannot enrich their written word. So that is one thing. And another thing is the literature festivals. They should attend all kind of literary activities. So many people tell me that why do we have over 300 festivals in India? I think the more the merrier. I
I
think
think so.
every Jilla, every Pargana should have a literature festival. What is the harm? If 100 people are attending a festival or even 25 begin to read, then it opens up your avenues. It stimulates you mentally, and it
Mm.
is also an escape. What the children today, the youngsters today, are looking for, say while they're surfing internet, is an escape. And there is too much information, whereas reading a book or expressing themselves through their writing provides them a different avenue. It is more gratifying. Okay, that I have written something. It could be a four-liner haiku, or एक आजाद कविता भी हो सकती है. So I think there is no better recreation than reading or writing. So they should attend all the festivals, all the literary activities. They should go out and taste the all kind of Indian writings. They should go to different states, attend all the festivals, not just Metaphor, the Lucknow Lit Fest, because these Lit Fests are like mini Indias. You get to know your other brethren, from different states. You have Bengalis, you have Telugu literature. Like we had four sessions in one of the editions wherein we had Bengali, Urdu, in which we also had Hyderabadi Urdu, the Telangana Urdu, as they say, and we had a session on Bengal and on Punjab, and it was really appreciated by one and all. So that is how.
So I don't know whether the audience will take your advice or not, but I will certainly. And so I promise to continue reading and writing. And thank you so much for being with us, spending time with us. And we look forward to the festival, Lucknow Literature Festival, beginning December, you said?
17th and 18th, but we have had we'll be holding
Yes,
our standalone events throughout
yes.
till December.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for organizing the festivals, and good luck for the future.
So much. Hope to see you
Thank you,
again.
Kala.